I've never done this live, but this is exactly what I do when I'm doing it not live. After I've done an interview, I sit here and I go, and then I do a thing, and then I write the intro. I don't write it, I just talk it, and then I get it wrong, which I can't do right now because it's live. Mike, you're not even supposed to be in this bit yet. That's already gone wrong. Mike, you're out of this. This is the intro to the podcast. Currently, no one can see you. That's ruined. If you're listening to this on the actual podcast platforms, that was my guest. But before that happens, I'm supposed to tell you that there's a Patreon. If you like this, it's £1. You can't pay any more. It's just £1. Patreon.com/thedownbeat. Or if you don't like that, and you simply like clothes, if you're watching this on video, I'm holding some clothes up, you could go to www.thedownbeat.at. Forgot my own website there, that's the beginning of the end. And you could get a t-shirt or a hoodie, and then that money will go directly to me. And then I can do more of these, which are now hopefully going to be live, which this is on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, hello. And hopefully everyone else has a setup as good as my guest this week, which is Mike Johnston of Mike'sLessons.com, who isn't allowed in the room yet until I tell him. He's a very good drummer. He's a very good businessman. Is there anything else you need from life? Just being those two things? He's very, very good camera guy. I'm going to show you right now, and then you're allowed to speak, Mike. I'm going to Mike. Mike's coming, but you're going to see his camera's better than mine, and I'm supposed to be the host. You ready? Oh, let's do the intro again. I'm still figuring this out. This is the first time I've ever done it already. Oh, the intro. Mike Johnston on the Downbeat podcast.
Yay!
You're still not in. Sing over this bit. You can do this. It's fine. I don't know what I'm doing either. Right? When this ends, there you are. Now, you're allowed now.
I'm allowed now. Now I can finally talk.
I
swear, man, it feels like you're my grade school teacher. Just telling me to shut up nonstop.
Listen,
we used to be bros.
We spoke prior to this about how
for like an hour.
Yeah,
about how to do this.
About how it was going to work.
Yet I broke all those rules right away.
Which is interesting because you are is it consummate? Is that what they say? Consummate?
That's the word.
Professional. Well, what is it when you get married and then you're allowed to have sex? Consummate. Is it the same? Is it the same word?
I don't know. I never waited till the marriage part. It was way before. Sorry, babe. Hate to expose us to your parents, but
I'm a consummate professional.
Yeah,
and
you are.
And I'm not a consummate. Now I've said that too many times.
Maybe you should contemplate whether or not I'm just trying to mess up your podcast by breaking all your rules.
There's never been rules before. That was the only reason why it was confusing. Now there's rules, and I'm starting to think this is going to happen every episode. I need like a kill switch for the guest. I'll press the button, and they can't come in. I'm sure I can do that with the Rodecaster Pro, thanks to the people at Rode. Mike, what are you? Let's say you meet someone not in a bar and not in a consummating way, and they say, "What do you do for a living?"
I would say, I never say that I'm a drummer because then the first question is, "What band are you in?" And I'm like, "I'm not." And then they say, "What band were you in?" And I say, "I wasn't." And they say, "What have you done in your career?" And I say, "Nothing."
You were in a band.
Yeah, but I mean, but then it's like, well, what band? And then you say, like, it'd be just like you, unless you're talking to a metal fan. You say your band name and they're like, "Oh, I've never heard of it." And it's like, well, you've just devalued everything I've put my life into. Thanks. Like, so I'd rather just not say. So I usually just say in education, music education, or maybe I just straight lie sometimes. And I don't lie. I usually just say it's honestly kind of hard to explain, but it revolves around music. And then, because then they'll be like, "Oh, so you teach?" I'm like,
So you deal drugs?
Yeah, basically. Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely get that question if I'm at, like, say, like my gym or something. Someone's walking by, like, "What do you do for a living?" And I say, it's honestly hard to explain. Like, oh, well, then what is your wife? How do you afford your lifestyle? What does your wife do for a living? Did you have rich parents?
What are you turning up at the gym like? How do you afford that lifestyle? And you coming in with like a fur jacket on, just like, what up, guys? I'm here to lift.
It's not what I'm wearing. It's the 3 people that I bring with me to make sure that I'm safe while lifting.
Nice. I like that. I've got it. Do you know what? During COVID, I resorted to lying about what I do because people were like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I play in a band. Oh, well, I've read that there's no git. What are you doing then? That must be bad. And it was just
how are you eating?
So depressing. So I started to say, I make clothes, which was technically true at the time. That was all I was doing. I make clothes, and like, oh, you're a fashion designer. Yes, I am. And that was it. True. And because no one knows anything about clothes, pretty much, you get away with it. They just go, oh, that's cool.
It's the same. Every time I would say I'm a drummer, they'd go, oh, how are you doing? And I'm like, good. I think I'm good. Doing well. And they're like, okay, well, my dad owns a company, so if you ever need something or just need a job or something, he could put in a word for you. And I'm like, what? I could hire your dad. What are you talking about? Like, I'm doing fine. But I don't want, but instead I have to be like, oh, thanks, man. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. But I mean, it's been like that since day one. I started teaching when I was 17 years old. So I don't remember ever having a time in my life where people weren't taking pity on me until they did and then I come back, say, to a CrossFit class the next week, and they've all looked at my Instagram, and then they're like, oh, you play drums. I'm like, yeah, I tried to tell you that, but you just had a preconceived notion of how much of a loser a drummer is in your mind, and you put me in that little box.
When you said you started at 17.
Teaching, yeah.
Yeah, I started teaching just after I left school. Then maybe a little bit later, so maybe 20. Did you... I was so embarrassed by being younger than everyone that I was teaching. Mm-hmm. Did you have that? And some of the mums were like, wait, you're the teacher.
Yeah, it was a struggle. And I looked a lot more like you at the time. So it was shaved head, lip piercing, gauged earrings. It was early 2000s. I need to see
this, Mike.
And, wife beater tank top, overalls, slammed hat, Dickies maybe, Chucks. So it was, like the early 2000s. I look like Fred frickin' Durst. But
that's all coming back, baby. I think I wore most of those things 2 days ago.
Well, hopefully when they bring it back, they can actually just call it a white tank top and not that horrible term. But yeah, so that was, I inherited my teaching gig. So it wasn't like a choice. I was working at a music store, and the teacher at the time at the music store that I worked, I was a drum shop guy. He was pretty old, and during one of his lessons with a little kid, he pulled out his piece. In America, we have guns.
That means penis,
and he pulled
in the UK.
Yeah. His piece was a gun.
Okay.
Pulled it out, put it on the floor, Tom, and said, what do I have to do to make you practice? And he was our main teacher. He had 75 students. And so he got fired that day.
Did he actually?
Oh, yeah. He got fired hard. And then minutes later, and then the owner just said, Mike, you're just going to have to start teaching. And so I took over all of his students in a day. And then that was it. And I lost over half of them within the first week because I was a kid teaching a bunch of adults, and they didn't want to be taught by a kid. And I had to grow up really quick if I wanted to make money, if I wanted to be successful. Because I went from an hourly rate to all of a sudden I'm making a legitimate income. If I could have kept all those students, I'd probably be making about $5,000 a month, which back, when I was 17, that would have been insane.
There's a lot of hot topic.
Exactly.
It's a pretty valid point. Teaching drums, I don't think I've ever been as rich as I was when I was just teaching drums full time. It was so sick. But you have to be dedicated. What I found, you can't go off on tour that many times. You could, at first it was like a novelty where it was like, oh, the teacher's going off on a 6-week tour. And then it was like, oh, the teacher's going off on a 3-month tour. And then you get back. No one's practiced. And like a lot of them were kids. Like it ended up I was setting them back, so I had to be like, I'm going to give you to someone else. And then like you just said, I gave them to someone else, and he lost half of them in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, consistency is the key with education, because when you're learning an instrument, you and I, it's easy for us to fall into the trap of seeing the instrument from our perspective, where we can play already. So if I go 6 weeks without practicing, honestly, besides maybe a little speed, nothing really happens. I still retain all of my skills. When you're learning an instrument for the first time, if you go a few days without practicing, you can lose the things that you're chipping away at. And so consistency from the teacher actually being invested in the student, no matter how young or old they are, but showing like, look, man, I'm not teaching you out of a book. I'm not teaching you what the kid before you learned. I'm teaching you what's best for you right now, and doing that week after week after week after week, and never missing a lesson, never having a sick day. That's what builds up your roster and gives you a reputation in your hometown as the guy, which is what I was doing from 17, basically until I started touring. And then missed it so much, I quit touring to come back to doing that full time.
I think if I wasn't in Stray from the Path, then I would have done the same thing. When I joined Stray, I was full-time teaching. They'd lost a drummer, but we were friends. They said, do you want to come on tour? Or do you want to join the band flat out? And I was like, not really, because I was making loads of money, and I was so comfortable. And then I was like, I tell you what, I'll do this tour that you really need help with, and then I'll do it session work, and then we can figure anything out. And it was like 2 weeks in, maybe not even 2 weeks in. I was like, they were like, do you want to join? I was like, yes, absolutely. Yes. But only because the rest of the guys are so much fun. Like, I think if it was any other, like I can't imagine if I had to go on tour and I didn't like anyone in the touring crew, I would just leave. I'll just go, I'm a bit of a diva like that, but just in general.
Well, and you also have proven to yourself that you could make a living through your instrument. I think the only way to be a truly satisfied educator, because I've seen lots of educators that honestly just shouldn't be educators on a personal level, it's you have to tour, you have to have had sessions, you have to have had a taste of every ounce of the industry to then choose education. If you don't have that, if you didn't get Stray, you might have never been able to teach full time without wondering what the touring world is like, and what is it like to play to 20,000 people and rock a full crowd and have pyro. It's like I'm so happy that at 21 I got my first record deal. I got that life. I got to hit a bass drum and see a bunch of flames go off, and then I could walk away from it. If I never got that chance, I'd probably be in a private lesson room right now wondering what it's like to be in Def Leppard.
And they are the worst teachers. They're the worst teachers. They're the worst people to deal with in the music business. The worst press agents, the worst, all of the ones who were not in a band, or at least tried very hard to be in a band. They just don't get it, and it's not their fault. But there'll be like a situation arise, and they'll blow it. And the only reason they'll blow it is because they don't know what it's like. They haven't been there. Yeah.
And I mean, I always find that interesting, like in life in general, whether it be sports or whatever. I mean, especially in sports, when you see like an out of shape coach coaching all these elite athletes, when for some reason the telecast goes into that coach's past, like, well, back in the day, Phil Jackson of the Chicago Bulls, and they show, I'm like, oh, that cat played in the league. Like, he was the real deal, like, and by the way, Phil Jackson is not out of shape, but there are times where you see like your football coach, and it's like, well, he couldn't have possibly have ever played soccer. I mean, look at the guy. And then they go back and it's like, oh yeah, captain of his college team, then went into the league. And so I do think that you have to have some experience, some skin in the game to be able to do what you're doing and do it knowing this is my home. Even right now when you tour, what streaming is like, which can be, a huge source of income. So, online, on-camera presence, that. You've taught, so you have that in your back pocket. And you've done clinics, because that's how we met. And then you've also done what you're doing now. So you get to kind of A-B those, and you say, okay, let's get rid of the money. I'll deal with money later. Now let's just push our chips in. Our if we're playing poker, our chips are joy. How much joy are you getting out of this thing? And how much revenue in joy does this thing bring you? Choose that. You will be the best at that every time, and you will make the most money from that every time. So it's a really simple thing. You just kind of sit back and say, look, whatever I choose, I'm going to make some people happy and I'm going to disappoint some other people, but I got to choose my own path. I got to choose what I want to do and what brings me the most happiness. And then there will be hard times, but I will eventually be the most successful at that. And I never could have been as successful a session drummer or a touring drummer as I am as an educator because I chose the path of joy.
I'm going to tell you two things before I carry on with your conversation. Number one, it doesn't matter what we talk about for the next hour because everyone will go away going, that was really good. I could just go brr, 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 for the rest of the thing and everyone's still going to say that was good. So props to you for that. Carrying on that subject, I see a lot of people who, exactly what you're talking about, but like on a smaller scale to when you can just see it immediately, people who during the pandemic have realized I need another revenue stream or whatever, and they've not gone for the one that they enjoy the most and it might be a longer road. They've gone, well, that guy's doing this thing, I'll just do that because I've got this many thousand followers. The amount of people who have just seen like the Downbeat clothing and been like, oh wow, there's quite a lot of that around. Oh, I'll just do that. I've got twice as many followers as him. And then I find out it didn't go so well because you didn't love it. I love designing clothes, as weird as that is for a drummer to say it. So
not at all. I mean, that's the passion part is why, behind the scenes, for those people that don't know, Craig and I are friends. And that's why I've supported what you've been doing since the pandemic, is because I can just see how much you love doing it. And it is low-hanging fruit for me to see you do that and go, well, I got 150,000 followers on Instagram. Let me move them over to Twitch and just make some money. The problem is, what about day 20? Am I passionate about doing that on Twitch, whatever it is? Let's say I'm just playing music for 3 hours. No, I'm not. But so it's like, well, why fake it? Like, it's a lie. I don't want to. It's a. You know what it is? I almost cussed. It's a cash grab.
You can cuss. Do you not want the perception of you cussing? Because I've heard it. I've never seen it. And this will go on YouTube probably. So it's up to you how you want to be perceived.
Yeah, you've heard you've heard late night dinner sass come out of my mouth. So, but yeah, it's just a freaking cash grab, and it hurts my soul when I see it because I'm not mad whether I see somebody stealing something from me, from you, from Eddie, from Ash, from Mark Julian, whoever, Carter. It doesn't matter. It's just it moves you into a bin of, oh man, I was really kind of invested in where you were headed with your career, and now you just proved to me that you're not willing to do the work. Because all of us, if you think about business and drumming, it's the exact same thing. In drumming, I can't make up anything if I don't know anything. So I'm going to have to take it from a drummer that has already done it. So I sit down and I learn the song from whatever the band is, or I buy the book that David Garibaldi wrote, and I just sit there with Future Sounds and I learn all of David's grooves. If I stop there, then that's plagiarism. All I did was I did none of the work, because the creative work is so much harder than the physical work. Learning a drum part, if you sent me a Stray from the Path tune right now, I am allowed to slow it down enough that I could learn it one note at a time. There's nothing I can't learn one note at a time. I just have to wait till my brain memorizes that succession of notes. It's when somebody says, well, what's your version of that? It's like, oh, crap, well, that's another 6 months of work until I turn this into something that's unrecognizable from Craig Reynolds or whoever I got the idea from. And business is the same. As soon as I see, jazz drummer reacts to, I'm like, you're 3 years behind, bro. Peter McKinnon was doing that on YouTube as cinematographer reacts to commercials 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So it's like, well, come on. There's nothing wrong with being influenced, but if you don't take the next steps to put in your own intellectual property, your own IP, then I just kind of get bummed. And I hate to sound like a dad, but it's like, oh, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Why did you take the lazy way out?
I 100% agree. And I don't know if you know this because I don't promote it, but I feel like in a strange way, you'll be proud of this. I have a reactions channel, right? But hear me out, because I hate those videos. And what I do, and this is going to be annoying because if I put this on YouTube, everyone will kind of see that it's a joke now, is I just have a caricature of myself, and I just roast people because
now that's the next step.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm talking
because
about.
Everyone has the same thumbnail. They watch the same videos. They look at the drum video that has the most views. They watch it and they go, "That's the thumbnail." And then they're just watching it, and all they do is they go, "Oh my god, it's so amazing!" Blah 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 blah. And then it gets 1 billion views. But what I do is I watch it and I go, "What fucking shoes is he wearing?" And I don't do. I mean, sometimes. If it's like a smaller video, it will catch me off guard, and I will actually like react or whatever. But for the most part, it's an elaborate satire, which I've learned it can make some money. But the people that are doing it on most of the videos, they can't be making much money because it's the algorithm is so good at picking up who owns the song. So I posted my earnings, like, which aren't a lot on YouTube. Last month was like $500 or something, and I had people with 5 times my followers, subscribers, whatever, on YouTube, and they had like 2-3 million views a month, like way more than me, and they were like, they just sent me screenshots of how much they were making, and I was like, well, and they were making like $100 for 2 million views, and I was like, okay, what's going on there? And it's not monetizable.
No, and also too, I mean, you know, obviously your YouTube revenue or your AdSense revenue is coming from how many commercials can be played during that video. So if you have 2 million views and within the first 20 seconds everyone realizes that you're just ripping off everyone's ideas, then it's like, well, they check out. So it's like, yeah, you got 2 million views at 15 seconds a pop. YouTube never got to show you any commercials, so you never, or show your viewers any commercials, so you never made any money from it. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like there are tricks of the trade to keep people sticking around for up to 7 minutes, where if they're not on YouTube Premium, then they are getting shown a lot of ads. Whether they're skippable or not doesn't matter, but they're getting shown ads, and then your revenue as the creator goes up and up. The big thing, though, is just make the content you want to make. Like, I just don't believe that 90% of those drummers actually are like, man, I really need to react to Snarky Puppy's newest song. It's like, you don't. And I don't actually need to hear your reaction to it. You know, there are times where it's like, I do want to hear Christopher Nolan react to indie films. That's a legit thing. I want to see his opinion.
Is that a thing?
Well, I mean, I've definitely seen a couple things where... I've seen a few things like that where they reacted to different shots, like Christopher Nolan reacting to, the cinematography of 1941, and it's pretty cool, you know. I don't mind reaction videos. My problem is when you see something and you just take that low hanging fruit, and I think that we have to all push ourselves and understand that, like, once you've borrowed the idea, keep in mind. Just so that people don't get the wrong idea. What do you think Mike'sLessons.com is? It's iTunes. Steve Jobs released iTunes. He broke up albums into songs. As soon as I saw that, I said, I'm going to break up DVDs into purchasable chapters. And I put it on a website called Mike'sLessons.com. So it was like, this would have been a DVD for $45. Now you can buy it in bite-sized chunks for 99 cents a piece. Even our pricing structure was based off of iTunes. But if you don't move it forward...
Yeah, it's so different.
Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, one, I never steal from my own industry. I never borrow ideas from my own industry because it's like, it's too close. I mean, honestly, if I started a Discord group right now, both you and Eddie could be like, where'd you get that idea from? I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I just typed it into Google. And it's not that I can't have a Discord group. I would just have to do it in a different way than you guys have done it.
I think Discord's different. Like, I think Discord is... almost everyone has one. You'd be fine doing that. I think.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think there's a lot of things, though. I mean, a good example would be this. I see what you're doing. I dig it. Cool.
That would piss me off.
Right? Wouldn't it? If I
in the same industry. Isn't it weird, though? Because everyone does it. I probably took it off someone else, like a gamer.
but still, it's
leave that for this, though. Because that looks good. Why didn't you do this in the fucking first place? That looks good. Leave that for this. It looks like we're in the same room.
Blue is a complementary color to pink. I'm helping you out here in the color wheel.
Oh, but it doesn't matter if you're, because people will be listening to this on the audio podcast. So
and they're going, we have no idea. So for all of you that are listening, I just changed my background light to the same as Craig's. And that's the thing is, like, that's the IP. Yes, I have an RGB light that goes pink. But the reason I don't ever put it on pink is because it's like, well, that's my boy Craig's thing. He kind of has that thing. He's worked really hard to cultivate a vibe. And when people steal the vibe, that's when I lose my shit. That's when I get really upset where it's like, damn it. You don't understand how hard I worked on how much I was open-minded to every time I walked into a shopping mall. I would look around and see like, ooh, I don't know what they sell there, but that look, that feel, the texture, I want to be in there. And I would think, I want to do that for the drums. I want to make people feel the way that place is making me feel. What is their color combination? What are their textures? Hardwood, carpet, all of that stuff is going on in my mind. So when I finally do it, invest my own money and make it all happen, and then someone else does it in a second because they're like, well, it worked for Mike. I'm like, oh man, you missed the point.
Take the influence from, take influence from inside your industry, but like take other influence from other things you're interested in or places. Like what you just said about like going in to a store and seeing and being like, I like that. I have a notes thing in my phone of similar things like that. Or if I'm watching a movie and something happens and then something just ticks in my brain, like I could apply that to whatever. And then 100%. I make a little note and then I forget about it. I'm like, fuck, I need some business ideas. And then I go for my phone. I'm like, I'm a genius. Where did that come from? And it was like, I was watching Curb and something happened.
And that's the thing is like someone is getting paid a lot. You and I and the rest of our industry, we were supposed to be drummers. We weren't supposed to be interior designers, lighting directors, cinematographers, audio engineers. We were supposed to be drummers. But because of where we are now with tech in the world, all of us are junior cinematographers. We're all lighting directors. We're all gaffers. We all have to do a little bit of everything. We have to learn what lights work with our skin tones. All these things that, there's no way Nico McBrain dealt with this, ever. He just played the drums. That was it. So there's that going into it. So, I'm surely someone went to school for this other stuff that I'm now having to do on my own. So why can't I take ideas and color schemes from people that are getting paid millions of dollars to do it? Someone at Apple has a degree in web design. I'm probably going to take my borrowed ideas from them before I take it from Bob Schmeckenmeyer's lessons.com. Old Schmecks, he ain't figuring stuff out as well as the cats at Apple.
Or his seminar about how to make money, which you have to pay for to go to. How do you feel about those? How do you feel about a seminar?
Bro, I've spoken at those seminars, and the first thing I say when I get on stage is, at the end of this, there's no DVD to buy, there's no book, and honestly, my website won't interest you. Now let's get started. Because it's like, otherwise, it's all full of crap. You're just trying to sell me a piece of land somewhere through this seminar, and I just don't want to be a part of it. And so, Schmeckenmeyer, he's on his own path. But I think it's important for all of us to be willing to take influence from people that are far superior to us at their craft, and then the work begins. Then the work starts. It's pretty easy for anyone on Twitch right now to look at Craig's background and go, neon light in the background, pink light behind him, and probably somewhere around a 5,000 to 6,000 Kelvin light on his face so that the pink doesn't spill onto his face too much. We've got a blue light to balance out the pink so it's not all pink. And then we've got a shallow depth of field so that we can't really see what's happening in his background, but we know that there's something in there. So I can steal all that.
Everything. You want to just go in and tell them it's 1.4 and then you've done the whole lot?
Dude, I know it's 1.4. I know that you shoot wide open. Everyone shoots wide open.
I'm addicted to the blur.
Of course, the bokeh. My God, bro. But no, I mean, that's the thing is like, okay, if I see that on Twitch, of course I'm going to look at that and go, well, that looks amazing. Then hopefully, if you're a true artist, your first thought is, how can I do it different? How can I build upon what Craig has already... You put so much work into making it look that way. Anyone that thinks that you can just open up webcam on your laptop and it looks like that is out of their mind. So it's like, that's so much work that went into making your setup look professional. And the whole reason you do that is not to look good. It's so that when people log on, they trust you. You're building trust through quality. They see your quality and they go, well, he's dedicated, so this must be good. They hear your crystal clear audio. This must be good. I'm going to give it a listen. And you're trying to build trust. Through that trust, you can monetize the trust. They will buy your merch. They will sign up for your Patreon page. And that's why, to bring it all back around to where we started, that's why someone with 2 million followers will make a lot less money than somebody with 10,000 followers, because those 10,000 were probably earned one at a time, and they were built through trust, and they will pay for online drum lessons or a drum camp or a hoodie, where the 2 million just showed up to see you react to Snarky Puppy's new video. They bailed after 10 seconds, so
I honestly,
they're not really invested.
I know those people will be watching this if I put it on YouTube, but they're not the ones that I want. They're not the people that leave the comments. They're also the ones that think for some reason, watching the caricatured version of me, they think that we're like friends, and or that like they know me, and then they'll post something like really offensive. Where I've been like, I'll watch a video, and if someone's wearing horrible shoes, I'll be like, what are those shoes? And then some people, the YouTube people, see that and go, right, he's been mean about the shoes. That means he's probably racist as well. Leave this comment. I'm like, whoa, where's YouTube? Calm down.
I still deal with it all the time. I mean, it's not as bad anymore because, you know, most haters, I have probably maybe a good solid group of haters that create a new account every time I put up a video so that they can say something before I block them. And it's just one of those things where it takes so much growth. If anybody's considering getting into social media, and especially putting yourself out there on YouTube, you just have to at some point not take it personal, and you have to try your best to take the positive comments very personal, because I ingest, I mean, at least 20 YouTube videos a day minimum. It's my TV. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I turn on YouTube in my living room on TV. I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube, and I have my favorite creators. The amount of times I've written a comment in a year is probably like 2. So for somebody, and I love YouTube, and I don't even write positive comments because I just can't be bothered to do it. So if somebody's taken the time to say, hey, thanks so much for this drum lick, it changed the way I practice, why am I allowed to let that just go over my head like it's no big deal? But then somebody who clearly is just out to be mean says something, and I let that affect my soul. And it took me years. I started on YouTube in 2005, the year it launched. It took me years to get over that and actually start paying more attention to those positive comments and be like, bro, thank you for saying that. That really means a lot to me. And try to find a couple words that let the person know, like, this isn't copy and paste. That actually really meant a lot to me. Thank you. So we all go through it. Haters will always exist. Obviously, we all know the stories of just social media giving them kind of an anonymous voice, especially YouTube. YouTube is the one that hasn't quite fixed the thing of like, you can say anything you want, and I can't see pictures of you and your family. Instagram, if you're going to say something, I can kind of see your whole world. Like, I mean, you got to do it. And so that part is fine, you know, and I've gotten to the point now where there's zero effect. I just immediately go to their page, go to about, block user, and that's it. It's 2 seconds. Done.
So I got like a triple monetization effect of Twitch versus YouTube versus dealing with these people, which is, like you said, they're mostly anonymous. But if you dig on their YouTube channel, sometimes you find gold. Like, I got someone that left like a horrendous comment about me or whatever, and then the triple monetization is like, I watch the YouTube videos on Twitch, so it's part of the thing, because everyone gets bored of me playing drums all the time because I'm not the best drummer. So I'd rather just I am the best funny. So I do the talking. That's a joke, you idiot. I do the talking on Twitch. We watch the video, be a bit funny or whatever, And then sometimes there's a comment there as well, and I'll go in to the comment and find the people, and sometimes there's gold.
There's some gold.
Like there was one that was like said whatever, and they'd left what they subscribed to.
Oh.
And it was like loads of furry accounts. Now, I'm not going to kink shame anyone, but if anyone doesn't know the furry community, I think it's supposed to be like a harmless, everyone dresses like bears or dinosaurs or whatever, but they're fucking. There's like there's another version of it where it's pretty kinky. Anyway, this person was not kink shaming, but if you're going to come for me about my appearance, make sure you're hiding your life as a giant fluffy dinosaur.
I'm 100% behind that, where it's like, do whatever you want. At no point do I think what you do, as long as you're not harming anybody, do whatever you want. But easy on saying I'm the worst drum teacher in the history of the world because I taught a flamadiddle. Like, you seem to have a lot of anger issues. And I think that, like, most people understand that's kind of the world, especially, I mean, it's not fun for me as a fan of YouTube content to go to a specific channel that I'm watching and just see like all the hate, because maybe the person feels like it's dishonest to delete the bad comments. I don't agree with that at all. It's like, I have two rules. If you make fun of anybody, you're gone. And that could be me, but sometimes it's not me. Maybe it's like, oh man, I love your stuff. You're such a better teacher than. It's like, gone. You're still making fun of somebody, even though you're complimenting me. So if you're negative, you're gone. And if it's, I can handle a little bit of cussing on my page, but if it's just like, flat out vulgar, I just have a lot of young students, so I just delete that. But if it's just hate, then I just block your account, And I mean, it's part of the game, and you have to have thick skin to be in this game. But back to the monetization part of it, like if you want to monetize your content, you're gonna have to put up. It's not gonna all be roses. And like you said, when you said, I made $500 last month or whatever, I'm sure a lot of people would be in heaven to make $500 from their YouTube videos. The problem is when people go into YouTube thinking they can make $500 a month or $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month, you've already lost the game. You either make content to make it because you love it, and you sit on Twitch because you love it, or you take pictures for Instagram because you love it, or you don't. If you're lucky enough to do it and do it well, you will make money from it and you'll profit from it, and you'll be able to leverage that into some sort of a part-time income or a full-time income. But if you go into any of these social media things thinking, well, I'm going to go make it rich on Twitch, you've already lost. It's over.
YouTube is the only reason I upload any YouTube videos at all is because I love Twitch, and I genuinely love the engagement, the people, even like the company, everything about it. I love it. I love being here. I love when we watch a video and I can see, like, even if because it's for YouTube, I'm not. And like this, there's a chat here. I can see, but I'm sorry, guys, but we're doing a podcast. Even then, when I'm like watching a video and it then makes it on YouTube, I love doing it. The few times, and that's why I've got so many YouTube videos up, because I'm doing it on Twitch, which I love doing. I made a few videos because people that had left, as we said, nice comments or whatever, and were like, oh, can you give us a studio rundown? Can you give us this or whatever? And then I went out of my way to make those videos, and then the amount of time it took, because Twitch is just, I press a button, like right now I pressed a button that's record, and then this will go straight to YouTube. The amount of time it took me to, even just like putting the fucking SD card in the camera, doing the thing, changing the lenses, doing all that, blah, blah, blah. Then it's in the DaVinci software, put it all together, do all that stuff, and then I upload it, and then it gets far less views than any of the other videos, and it makes literally $12. And then I just thought, I don't love the process of making that video enough to ever do that again for it to be worth $12. But I love the Twitch ones.
And I think that everything you just said is what I hope that the listeners of the podcast and the people that are watching right now, I hope they take away from this is you got to do what you love, because there are times where I make a video and in my mind, I mean, for me, it's 4 camera angles. So it's 4 cameras, 4 SD cards. The edits are massive. It's a big production to make a YouTube video, especially by myself. And then it just doesn't do well. And it's like, but I don't care because I love YouTube and I love making YouTube content. So it doesn't, I know that there's algorithms at play. It's not that all of my subscribers saw it and chose, I'm not clicking on that. They never saw it in the first place because YouTube gave it a 10-minute audition window. The algorithm didn't catch fire, it didn't kick in, and my followers never even knew I uploaded it in the first place. So it never, like I said, what you're doing right now, if you told me I make $1 million a day on Twitch, I still wouldn't move my stuff to Twitch because I don't ingest the content enough to be able to make it work. That's the most important part of being on social media and making content, being a content creator, is if you don't use that platform as a fan on a daily basis, you won't make it because you're going to misstep. You don't know the social norms. You don't know how it works. You just don't get it. And that's been tough, not to force a segue into this, but that's been tough with the drum industry, with companies. I mean, you and I are both endorsed artists, and getting them to understand, like, oh, you know what? I think we're going to do TikTok. I'm like, are you sure? You sure you want to do TikTok? Because you're 72. I think this is a bad idea. And they're like, no, it's blowing up. I'm like, well, the fact that you used blowing up lets me know you should not do TikTok.
Employ a young person to do it. I'm all
Totally,
for getting 100%. On board, but
this
is the same thing that's happening with a lot of record labels right now. We got to get into the TikTok, and then they get someone that already works there to start a TikTok, and then they go, for some reason it's not working. So that's because you need somebody who is 20 to 25. Like, you need that person to pay them a bunch of money because you know TikTok's blowing up and that's where everyone's getting the money. So you pay someone a proportionate amount of money to do it for you. I actually I have a friend, and they do really well on TikTok, and they'd done masses of views on TikTok, and they'd started being approached by labels, and they were charging so little for it. And I had to I saw this happening on Twitter, and I had to just interject and go, hey, you should be getting paid loads more for this. I want you to speak to this person. And now I got a friend of mine who manages them. And I think it's going much, much better because the manager knows, the manager's old, oldish, my age. The manager knows there's money in TikTok, but also the manager knows I have no idea how to do this. Employ the young person.
100%. You have to get someone that gets it. And I remember going through this with all of my companies years ago where I was like, stop posting your artist's social media. You need to hire an on-site camera person. You need to hire a content creator that knows how to make this type of content, and you need to make your own content. And I remember, you and I are both Minel artists. They were one of the first ones that said, okay, this is our Nashville crew. This is our European crew. We hire these people to make videos. We bring our artists in rather than just, hey, Craig, can you rip some chops and send it to me right now? And it's like, yeah, I can, but why would I do that for you when I could just do it for my channel? Why don't you bring me in and film something that I can't film myself, and we do a collaborative effort? And it's going to take a long time for these companies that have a lot. I don't think it's the age as much as it's, did you come up with this or not? If you thought Instagram was going to go away, if you thought that we'd go from MySpace and skip Facebook and we'd just show up somewhere else, you missed out on all the norms. You and I, or I'm pretty old, at least in our game, I'm 45, but I was there for the birth of MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Vine. I've had them all. And as soon as I'm in on day one, I'm immediately thinking, do I have a use for this? Can this propel what I'm trying to do forward? If not, I don't mind ignoring it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be right. I mean, I'll admit I was wrong on Facebook because when it first came out, I was like, it's a giant white page. No one's going to use this. And, this is 15 years ago. And I was wrong, and then I had to adapt quickly. but I still had to get into it before I started using it. So I think that our companies, our endorsements, drum companies, stick companies, everybody, it's going to take a little while for them to understand what to do with this new world now that they've lost their magazines, because that was what made advertising so easy. $5,000 or $4,000 for a full page ad. There's 10 magazines. We have a $40,000 ad budget per month. We do 10 full page ads on our new product with our new artist. We're done. And that was it. There was nothing to talk about. There's no ROI. You have no idea if it worked, if it didn't work. You don't know if it's triggering any sales. Now, all of a sudden, because they're not willing to hire people sometimes, they don't have somebody poring over their analytics to know, did your video result in anything? Did you sell anything? Did you have any codes attached to it? They don't know. They're just like, well. And then if you tell them it's $10,000 to make this video, we're going to rent 2 Red cameras, we're going to hire a full production team. They're like, that's insane. I'm like, really? You used to spend $40K per month on print ads that gave you no ROI. You didn't know if it worked or not. Why would you not spend $10,000, especially if I can get, a drone pilot, 2 Red cameras, and a full crew for that? So I don't know why I'm yelling at you.
This sounds like this is a conversation you had.
I've had this many times.
I will say this. I can't think of another company other than Meinl doing really what you should be doing to sell cymbals. Like, anytime you see one of those, it's on the Meinl channel, it's just like, it has that weird orangey grading that like complements the cymbals, no matter which one of the studios they do it in, and it's just
everyone's tan.
That is selling more than they can even track. That is selling cymbals.
Yeah, and the other thing too is Meinl does a really good job of having great artists. So even if you're not interested in the cymbals, you still kind of want to hear the person play the cymbals. That's what got me into Meinl in the first place. Was I was a Paiste artist for 14 years, and all of a sudden this website launched. It was Meinl's new website. This is 11 years ago now, because this is my 10th year with Meinl.
I remember it.
And they had all these drummers that I'd never heard of. There was all these Joost Nickel videos and Felix Lehrman videos, and I just had never seen these cats. So I didn't even care about the cymbals. I just wanted to watch the 4-minute video of Joost Nickel playing drums. And through that, and through 100 of those, I fell in love with Meinl,
That was me, but with Chris Adler. Exactly the same situation on that exact same website. And you could go and you could click the cymbals and it would make the noise that the cymbal made. But honestly, that was...
Bell?
Yeah, you could do it. And that was when I tried to go for Meinl. I didn't have any cymbal endorsements. I went straight for Meinl. And they literally turned around and said, you don't play any Meinl cymbals. I was like, I have a China, and it's sick, but it's really expensive. So I just play stuff because it breaks. And then Norbert, luckily, was just like, I'm going to give this guy a shot.
Norbert, he can sniff out talent better than anyone. Like, Norbert is a big part of the reason why I became a Meinl artist. So I had a camp that I did with Benny Greb. That was my first introduction to Meinl. I was a Paiste artist. Benny was a Meinl artist. Benny brought his cymbals with him. This is 11 years ago now. And so we used, I think, my kit and his cymbals or something like that. Anyways, we did the camp together, but I was playing his cymbals for the entire week. And they just offered something, especially in the Extra Dry series, that Paiste, Zildjian, Sabian, nobody had that. That just kind of raw, dirty trashiness that was so artistic. And I kind of fell in love with them. And then I went to PASIC that same year, and Norbert came up to me, and Norbert's a very imposing figure. And he just handed me a card that just said Meinl, Norbert. And he just said, I just want you to know we understand what you're doing. And at that time, leaving the touring world to be an online educator.
Men in Black fucking style.
Full Men in Black. And because no conversation. Handed me the card. We understand what you are trying to do.
Great impression.
Call me. And then he walked away.
If anyone doesn't know, it's the artist, the German, I guess worldwide artist relations guy. He's the guy.
He's the guy. And he's, so having somebody at that time in our industry say, we understand what you're trying to do, it meant so much to me, because it was like, it wasn't a given that online education was even possible. Streaming wasn't even the term. We called it live broadcasting. I was doing all this stuff a decade ago, and no one everyone just kind of laughed at me for doing it. And for someone to say, we get it, I was like, okay, well, we'll work out the symbol stuff later. That's all I needed to hear, man. So long story short, back to what we were talking about, getting these companies on board. It's going to take a little while, but you're right. I think the quick fix for any company, if I could give any company consulting advice, it would be like, you should have 2 people on hand under 25. One runs a camera and one understands social media better than anyone at your company. Though, pay those 2, whoever you're paying the most to, promote his salary or her salary and give it to those 2, because that's your only shot of getting through this, you know?
Yeah, I would, I didn't want to come across ageist as that before, but TikTok is very, very, very young, and social media in general is always going to change. Like you said, you came up with MySpace all the way to TikTok. So what you want to be doing as a company or whoever is getting someone who is at the start of the next chapter of it. Otherwise, you get someone who's like, say, my age. I could probably apply. I'm a bad example because I'm a fucking legend. But you know, someone who is also pretty good at Instagram, pretty good at everything. Yeah, we could learn TikTok, but the problem is, in 10 years' time, like, am I still going to be on TikTok? Am I still going to be really, really bothering with it? Whereas if you get someone who's in their 20s now, they're bang on TikTok, they're well good at it. In 10 years' time, they're still, I'm still addicted to my phone.
The key, like I said, is, do you ingest the content? If you don't show up to a platform and just think, I got this, because I've got a huge social media following on these other platforms, it's going to be just fine. It's like, it's not. You're not a fan of the platform. Like I said, I watch YouTube. So when I make a YouTube video, I don't have to think like, how long are these supposed to be? It's like, no, I know. I watch YouTube videos every single day. I know how long a vlog should be versus a lesson versus, just a quick a YouTube short. Like, I've been to like business conventions where I'm speaking at them, and I just see this. I shouldn't be like so negative all the time, but thank you for allowing me this outlet. I'm a pretty positive person normally, so I needed to vent.
Look at the font, look at the logo. Join us in evil.
Yes, baby. So I've been to these things where I'm speaking at these events, and people say like, this is the time. You got to get into YouTube Shorts. And I literally want to raise my hand and be like, what's a YouTube Short? Just so they can go, well. And I'd be like, exactly. You don't use it yourself. Stop it. I had one guy tell me like, you got to get into Reels. And I just asked him straight up, why? And he's like, well, Instagram's putting a lot of priority behind Reels. And I was like, what does that mean? And he still had no, and I'm like, just stop. You think you know what you're talking about, but you don't use the content enough. You haven't done an A/B test. You don't check out. I mean, I'm watching every single time Instagram puts out a new set of guidelines. Hey, we're not prioritizing hashtags anymore. Use 3 to 4 hashtags, no more. Okay. Well, I'm going to put out a post with 20 hashtags, and then I'm going to put out a similar post a week later with 3 to 4, and I'm going to see, are you guys prioritizing hashtags or not? I'm going to do some A/B testing, because I'm not going to just trust your words. So I'm going to do this. And if you're not into the platform, whether it be TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, then like I said, you're going to really struggle to build a long-lasting thing, build fans the right way, and then be able to monetize it. And that's the dream for all of us, is like, well, I have a passion. I'd really like to make a living from my passions. There's nothing wrong with that. If you go for this simple cash grab, like we talked about earlier, it's just not going to work in the long term.
The algorithm posts that go round as well, where someone pretends that they know, and they go, well, this is saving a post is like a super like, and that gets pushed. And it's like, I look at it, I ingest it, despite the fact that I have a friend that works at Facebook, and he told me all of the algorithm stuff, what's true, which is none of the stuff that's on the fucking list. It honestly really boils down to when they like lay it out. It's like a save is the best thing. That's a super like. And then next is sharing. Next is whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you take away the algorithm and the hustle and everything, why a save is the best thing? Why have they saved it? Because the content is fucking amazing. Number 2, why have they shared it? Because you got to see this. Number 3 is the like count. Why? Because it was good, so they liked it. Stop thinking of the hack to get your stuff out to the most people. You make the good stuff, and then everyone wants to share it.
But what you just said, like, stop looking for the hack. That's what I was saying earlier that frustrates me. It's like, you don't have to steal Craig's lighting scheme. You don't have to steal my symbol boxes or whatever. That's not the hack. The hack is that I care. The hack is that I care about how things look on camera. So care. If you care, you're going to be fine. It doesn't always work. I have plenty of videos that bomb, and it's just like, well, I could have sworn that was going to be the one. It didn't work. On to the next. But I'm not on to the next to try to hack a system. I'm on to the next because I have so many ideas floating in my head that I have to share with the world. If you have that, or if you have that for playing, where it's like, I just want to play in front of people, you should make content. You should absolutely do it. And you should make that content for the social media platform that you enjoy as a fan. So if you enjoy Instagram the most, don't bounce over to Twitch because you're like, well, I heard there's more profit. Well, in a couple weeks, maybe they monetize all of Instagram, and you could have made more money on Instagram if you would have built that. You're going to be chasing your tail. It's like the bands that become ska bands overnight because No Doubt has a hit record. It's like, dude, it's already over. By the time that record came, they tracked that 2 years ago when it hit the airwaves. So it's already over. You already missed it. Don't chase anybody. Just make great stuff because you want to. And I mean, that's the hack. The hack is quality content.
And you can't, I don't know if you're a reader, but I've spoke about this book before on, I don't think you've got any time to read. I spoke about this, the Malcolm Gladwell book, Outliers, about basically does a load of case studies like Wayne Gretzky, a bunch of people. Okay. It all boils down to you need to have put in 10,000 hours at the thing you love to make it. And if you're busy chasing your tail on the other platforms looking for the hack, you're not getting the good practice in at being the best of your craft. Even if it is like, I love Instagram or whatever, and I love making Instagram videos. Oh, the Twitch is a good example. Do I switch to Twitch because I think there's money there? If you don't do that and you continue making your Instagram videos, then TikTok comes out, which is pretty similar to Instagram. You've put in a decent bunch of hours getting really good at Instagram because you loved it. Then an opportunity arises where you can take all of those skills to something else, which is going to be much better. And then you transition much easier at its inception, which is the biggest part, like being
totally
at the beginning.
And that's, I think, what we're watching companies go through is they're thinking, they're scared. Do we miss the boat? And it's like, there's always going to be plenty of social media channels for the rest of our lives. Unless something dramatic happens, we're always going to have something. At some point, Instagram will be replaced by something else, and Twitch will be replaced by something else. But those skills, just kind of translate. And then the other thing, too, is every single social media platform has a fan base, and that fan base is an ecosystem of like-minded people that like that platform. So you might have something where it's like for me, I stream every day on MikeSussons.com, 4 cameras, all cinema cameras, all, in 1080p, high-end quality audio, all that. I can go to Twitch anytime I want and literally, like you said, hit a button. The problem is the comments might come in and I'm like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. What's going on here? I don't understand this. And it's like, yeah, because I don't ingest the content myself as a fan. And so now all of a sudden I just thought, oh, I thought you guys were YouTube Live. And it's like, Twitch isn't YouTube
and
Live.
You just throw money.
A lot of people, I don't understand what's the deal. Why can't you just buy me a house? What's the problem? I just streamed for a whole hour. I deserve a living out of this.
Exactly.
It's like, whoa. And that's the thing is like, you also have to understand the growing pains. Like when I watch you do your streams, I never see what you're doing now and think that's where you started. I think like, oh, I remember it wasn't like that. When it first started, he didn't have the lighting, didn't have good cameras, didn't even know the proper angles to set the cameras up at because he hadn't watched the videos back yet.
I used my phone. It was my phone.
Did you really?
A Yamaha EAD 10, which I kind of hacked to get the audio into my phone, and then a microphone that I switched on and off. That was it. But that's how I got like the OGs who are in the chat right now.
Right.
And then it sort of became, it went from there. But there are people now that saw me do that, and a lot of them came into the chat, even if they're like pro drummers, and like, oh, what camera is that? What's this? What's this? What's this? And I did a whole video. Someone actually asked in the Twitch chat earlier, and I didn't really want to break concentration for it, but someone said, did Craig remove the video where he explained his streaming setup? And the answer is yes, I did, because it wasn't making me money. There was negative comments on it, and I'm like, you know what, you people don't actually deserve this. Like, this is, I've told that's all the shortcuts to do exactly what I'm doing, but I'm not making any money from it, and it's on the platform which is arguably the most toxic. So I'm like giving the enemy my secrets. I was like, fuck this, I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah, and it, you know, I mean, the thing is, like, if there was one way to do this, we would all do it that way. I mean, we're all, like I said, we're not engineers, we're not broadcast engineers, we're not cinematographers, so we're doing the best we can as musicians to do live streaming with multiple camera angles and to be broadcasting. We basically all now have our own tiny television studios. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been doing this since the beginning, and there's still people that come in, they're like, how come you don't? And then they'll say something like, shit, I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, I don't stay up all night combing the web to find out how do you make a small television studio. I'm doing the best I can. I'm going HDMI out of some cameras into a mixer, and that's it. Back in the day, my video mixer, you know, I think we paid like somewhere around $13,000 for it. Now you can get a Blackmagic that does 8 HDMI ins for under $1,000. Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, so it's just one of those things where you're right. Like when I do get a little technical, I did a 2-mic setup video because I've used only 2 microphones for the last 5 years on all of my videos. I've never had more than 2 mics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why there's no mics on my. I've never done anything that had more than 2 mics in 5 years.
Holy shit!
What
a great sound!
What's that?
What a great sound! I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, so I have one overhead, and then I have that same overhead that's out of shot. I have that same overhead in front of my bass drum because I don't have a ported head, so it's just about a foot in front of my bass drum. That's the only sound I have, and I did a whole YouTube video on that. And for sure, like there were some people that were like, "Oh, you should," and I'm like, "Stop shoulding on me." Yeah, I'm doing the best fine. I can.
Not only am I doing the best I can, I'm doing fine. Shut up. Sometimes I want to say that to be. Oh, you should be. Do you think I would be here doing this if it wasn't like it wasn't going well? Like
totally, yeah. And it's like, man, I was kind of actually hoping that I could take your advice, but I went to your page and you just have a bunch of high scores on Halo. So
that's a big one. That's a big one for me. When you go and have a look, it's like
I'm like, dude, I'm happy to take your advice. Like, I'm not saying I have this all down. I'm doing the best I can, but at the same time, maybe you haven't considered why I'm doing this. Like, why do I have 2 mics? Do I think it's the best sound? No. I'm an educator. I'm not a performer. I don't want to suck the oxygen out of the room every time I play drums. I want you to feel like you're standing right next to me. So there's a reason why I use 2 mics, and it's tied to the marketing of what I do for a living, which is I'm your friend. You're standing in the room with me. This is what drums sound like. Let's have some fun. Let's learn.
You know what's funny and interesting, and also the complete polar opposite of that is what I'm doing on Twitch with my drum streams is everyone, for the most part, either has E-kit or a 2 mic, 1 mic, no mic setup, and then they're trying to play metal. So what I did was the complete opposite, and at my expense, 16 mics, 2 computers, fully Grammy-nominated producer mix, with low latency, which cost me a lot of money to get the correct Mac and all that stuff. So that when people see me doing a play along, on one of the very rare days that I don't make a mistake, you'll sometimes get a comment saying, "This is fake." And it's like, oh, that's when I know I've done it right. Because in a minute, I'm going to drop a stick. And you're going to go, oh, but it sounds like the CD. Which is interesting. But as an educator point of view, you wouldn't want that, really.
No, and isn't that why? I mean, you basically just explained your version of what I'm doing. Like, well, you could do it with 2 mics, but that's not you. Like, you're going for something, and you're going for a fan base, and you're going for a clientele, and I am too. I mean, I have to go in to every social media post knowing all producers will hate this, and most pro drummers won't take me seriously. But what am I trying to do?
Why is
I'm
that
trying to get intermediate drummers excited about drumming so that they will pay for lessons with me, because that's my business model. So it's like, well, I'm not grooving my ass off to a bass line because I'm trying to get people to be like, ooh, I want to do that. So I'm putting out candy. But I'm making content because I know what the end game is, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you get pro drummer hate?
No. But I mean, I'm not trying to get, my buddy Ash Sohn to call me and be like, hey man, that really had a great touch and feel to it. That really grooved. It's like, look, I can lay it down if you need me to, or I can play whatever you want. I've been playing drums since I was 5 years old. Not to be a jerk, but it's like I can play drums. The reason why most of my content is kind of fluffy on Instagram is because that is candy to somebody that just started their journey and they're like, ooh, I want to do that. And it's like, okay, well, then come over here to my website where the vegetables are, because that was the candy, that was the dessert. But now that I've got you hooked, do you mind if I actually teach you how to truly play this instrument? And that's kind of been my business model since day one,
That's so sick. And there's no one else really doing it like you. Like, yours feels a separate entity to, I mean, there's Drumeo and stuff, but I mean, like, Drumeo has a lot of free content out there, lesson stuff, whereas you've got, like, mainly, here's a small lick, here's this, and then the bulk of your real shit is all online on your platform.
Yeah.
It feels very separate from Instagram and separate from YouTube, which I guess.
Yeah, and it is. And there's funnels, I mean, people always want to get me into the me versus Drumeo battle. Like if they're at camp, they're like, so looking around, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I need Drumeo to exist. Where do you think all of my marketing money comes from? It's Drumeo. Drumeo is my marketing budget. I need Drumeo to spend all of their money telling the world that online drum lessons exist through their advertising on my videos. It's like, dude, go for it. Spend your money, because I don't have an advertising budget. I've never spent money on advertising, ever. Mike'sLessons.com just doesn't advertise. So what happens is, as a new drummer, you find Drumeo and you give it a shot. Well, eventually there's a moment where you're like, I need something a little more personal. But now that I know how streaming works and how online lessons work, and I get this ecosystem, is there anyone else that does it? And then they find me. So they've been filtered through the free thing, which was YouTube, down into the paid thing, which was Drumeo, down into, okay, I want to get serious about drumming. And that's where hopefully they find me, and it's like, let's do this. Family vibe. It's me, the wife, and the dog. Let's get after it. And you can upload your videos to me and I respond with a video, and it's a very personal thing. And so I'm not against Drumeo in the slightest. I don't know where I'd be without them.
Do you ever think, like, your platform, which it must be custom made inside the site, do you ever think, are you at a stage where you're absolutely completely happy with, like, obviously no one ever is really financially, but do you ever think of selling the platform, the source code?
Yes, definitely thought of it. Like, so we're launching our new site on December 1st that we've been working on for 2 years. It's the first time bringing AI into our website. It's the first time that we've got legitimate things that could be a game changer for the educational industry, not just the music educational industry. I don't give a crap about Drumeo and bobslessons.com. I want lynda.com to be jealous of what I'm doing. I want masterclass.com to be like, who the F is this kid and how is he doing this? That's who I'm going after. But by the way, I apologize to all the listeners. This is probably the most cocky you've ever heard me be. But there is a reality to, like, you can't make it in this industry without a little bit of killer mentality. And so when it comes to this, I go as hard as I can. Like, I'm 100% sure. Go ahead.
I bring out the worst in people.
It's the best. It's real. I mean, the thing is, like, I know I can't be a better drummer than anyone else, but I actually truly feel that I could outwork anyone in the world. And that. It doesn't matter if that's true or false. If you don't believe that, you're going to struggle to have your own business. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur and work for yourself, you better believe that you can out hustle anyone. And so that's what we're trying to do now. And when this thing launches, there's definitely been times, even for the music community, I would love to be like, look, we made this. It's 100% custom. You can buy it and just, the way that you would a Squarespace site. It's like, but this is made for delivering paid online education.
That's what I'm saying. You could make absolutely serious bank. I feel like
it's definitely on the cards. The card is on the table for sure.
Sick. Sorry, that's my little business brain going, oh God, if I was that, if I had that, I'd be like, who can I sell this to? But the amazing thing with that would be you could sell it, but the people would have to put the work in. So you really, if you know in yourself, like you said, and I actually believe it, that you work harder than anyone else, then I'll sell you this site, I will make a bunch of money doing it, and then you won't work as hard as me, so you will not be able to fucking take the crown. Or you slap a percentage on it. Ooh.
That's always the goal, right? Is there's a little percentage, so it's like, well, by all means, surpass me. Just give me 20%. Yeah. So, no, I mean, I think that I would definitely do it if I felt like it could help people out. And I think there are people that are at a point where it's like, I have the following, I have the on-camera personality. I just don't know. I just can't afford the initial upfront cost of building a custom educational website that has built-in live streaming, that has course structure, has a back end that I just upload my videos to, and now it's a course, and now people pay a membership fee, and it's a reoccurring fee. Like, how do I manage all that? It's like, dude, it took me, now it's taken me 14 years to learn how to do all of that. I will happily sell all of that information so you can do it overnight. Because like you said, you're still going to have to put in the work. You still have to make the content. But it's also the only thing that I've ever co-made, with my developer, Brad, where I could say, well, this isn't for drummers. It's for humans that want to deliver information. You want to teach people how to make sushi rolls and make sushi courses? Here you go.
Ooh,
here's the site. Here's the template.
Now you're at Shark Tank money. Now you're at the Shark Tank money, Mike. I love it. But what you were saying about just the working hard, do you find, and this is coming out of a place of my own struggles, do you find you have weeks or maybe even months, I don't know, months, weeks where you just can't do it? Like, I know if I wake up, I make a coffee and then I do a talking stream where I also react to a video, then I go and play drums and do a drum stream, and then I come home and I do a podcast episode. Like, I know if I do that every single day, then I make quite a bit of money. Because the podcast deals with the Patreon, you get another few people in, the Twitch, the YouTube, it all links up. And I'll have like a week where I do that. And then the next week I'm like, I am absolutely burnt out from all of this.
Yeah, it's tough. It goes in waves for sure because there's so many things happening simultaneously. Like, one of those things would be, I have to practice for the UK drum show. When am I going to do that? While teaching a drum camp, while doing a Twitch stream with my buddy Craig. Like, sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day because, unlike Drumeo or anyone that's trying to do what we do, I mean, really, what you're doing right now should be a 5 to 10 person operation. What I'm doing should be a 15 to 20 person operation, but we're doing it on our own. So sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day, and you do get a little bit burnt out. My wife and I have a town called Carmel that's a 3-hour drive from here, and it is where we go every time she recognizes the burnout in me. So she'll just literally, I'll come home from work and she'll just be like, hey, just we're headed to Carmel on Tuesday. And it's just a little beach town. It's a very quiet town. Nothing happens there. Just chill. And she just can recognize, like, I need to unplug. I'm getting spent. And what happens when you get spent and you force the work because you think, like, well, I'll outwork anybody, the work goes downhill a little bit. And the passion isn't there on camera or in the podcast or whatever it is. And you're just doing it to do it. So for me, it's always like a 2.5 to 3 day unplug that happens quite frequently. We're actually leaving tomorrow because I've done 7 camps already this summer, and while doing Mike'sLessons.com full time and the podcast with Eddie. So it's like, dude, I'm kind of burnt, you know, and I've got a lot of things coming up, especially the new website launch, and I just need to be fresh for it. So there are times for sure that I just get a little bit burnt out. There's also times where, you know, the tide comes in of inspiration to move forward, like a new website. It's been 2 years of development. Sometimes I'm like, I just can't think about it right now. And then at the end of all that, you and I have this thing where, well, what happens to those income streams if we aren't good at our instrument? It's like, oh shit, I forgot to practice. You know, like I have to be good at this. You can't just go on Twitch and flub. You no one will follow you.
I honestly, that's one of the things that's sort of saved my. It's a double-edged sword because I can and do a lot of practice on Twitch as like to diversify the stream, to just bring some money in while I'm actually doing something I need to be doing anyway. But man, it doesn't get new people in. If you're practicing on Twitch, the streams, like I'll let you know this, we have barely dipped under 200 viewers for the whole of this thing. I'm sure by the end of it there'll be more. The individual viewers would be quite a lot. If I was doing drum practice, getting something wrong over and over again, it would be 60 max for the whole thing. The core people like it, but it's not people aren't coming in and staying.
No, but the thing is, and I'm sure you know this better than anybody, especially right now, practicing live while streaming, because I do that a lot on Mike'sLessons.com, it puts a different intensity into your practice that I can't get without it. Sometimes I need to practice without a human even knowing that I play drum. Like I am isolated because it's so embarrassing where I'm at, and I'm fine with it, but it is one note at a time. No one needs to see that. But then it's especially the creative practice. I'll stream it on Mike'sLessons.com, or I'll just put up my phone and stream it on Instagram. It's just knowing that somebody could be watching makes me laser focused, and I can't create that kind of practice without the stream. And so I have to find a balance. I don't ever want to be addicted to streaming my practice where I can only practice if I'm streaming, but I also know that I can't get that heart palpitation in the first 2 minutes that I get when it is live, you know?
I'm really excited because I haven't done any shows since starting streaming. And the first time I did a stream, I got like the adrenaline of playing a show. And then that wore off. And then the first time I got a front pager and there was like 20,000 people there, I was like, the adrenaline was worse than like a main stage festival. And then now even the front page streams with like between 10 and 20,000 people, the adrenaline's gone there. So I'm wondering what a show's going to feel like. Like, am I going to go in super fucking cool? Like, I have played to 10 times these people. Like, am I going to have that, like...
club?
Like one of those? Or is it going to be the opposite? Like, am I going to get them and be like, oh...
You know, the one thing that people, unless they've actually live streamed themselves drumming, don't understand is, like, 20,000 people with your band as a crowd, you have your boys around you. There's a safety blanket of, like, we are in this together. 500 people on a live stream, it's all you, and they're all shit talkers.
They're all
now they're not,
as well.
But in your head they are, right?
Yeah, and they're all mostly all drummers. In fact, now I know I'm going to go into that room like there's probably 6 drummers in here, and if they are here, they've seen me on Twitch, so they've seen me make mistakes. So does it even matter? Oh, that would be amazing if I could kill that. Like,
yeah, and I mean, you and I talked about it the night we met, which is how am I going to go onto this stage at the UK drum show where the entire room is just drummers. They're all probably pretty good drummers. They know if I mess up, they know, I'm not going to mess up where I stop, but if I miss something that I was going for, they'll know. Plus there'll probably be 5 or 6 pros that are on this festival in the crowd. That's that can be a nightmare situation for anyone that deals with some serious anxiety, you know?
You actually, your advice there, because I was freaking out. It was at the dinner, I was freaking out. It was before I drank an entire bottle of red wine and some gin and tonics. But I was freaking out, and you were like, look at where you were. It was the first time we ever met, and you were like, immediate therapist, Zen teacher, plus weird close in age father. Like, you just said, look at where you are. Look at the rest of this table. Like, you got Benny Greb there, Spaven, me, you got the people from your company and whatever. You are here because people want to see Craig Reynolds and you do something different from other people. And everyone in that room wants to see that. You don't want to go, you're not going up there to be me or be Benny or do any of that. You're going up there to be you, and that's what people want to see. And I was just immediately, I remember the feeling. It was like I was filled to here with anxiety. There was wine being drunk as the conversation happened, but then I literally felt it just go boom, and I was like, oh my God. And I've taken that with me.
That's a tough one to, people can tell you that, but it's a tough one to accept. It takes a while to realize I'm here for a reason, and I'm actually really good at being me because I'm the only one that is me. So I just have to be the most me that I can be. And if I can do that, then we're going to be fine. If I go up right after Stanton Moore and I'm like, hey guys, I'm Mike Johnston, and this is a New Orleans beat, it's like, game over, bro.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not even New Orleans. That's the California way. You can't even pronounce the damn place. So it's like, okay, but if I went up there and said, how amazing was Stanton? And just right off the bat said, I can't do half of that stuff. Cool, now the crowd is disarmed. I've admitted, like, look, I'm not, a second-line drumming swing master, but I can break down just about anything. So do you guys have any questions? Like, and not that I would say that, but if you just do what you do, you're going to be fine. And that still translates into growing your online following, your social media presence. Be you. And I still think when I look at the landscape of YouTube filmmakers, I think the reason that Peter McKinnon is so incredibly successful compared to everyone around him that can shoot just as good of photos, just as good of videos, is he's just really good at being him. And he's never chasing anyone else. And I watch all the other guys chase him, and it's like, oh, you're Peter McKinnon B, C, D, F. But Peter just is kind of who he is and doesn't. And it's like, well, it's points for originality, because I know a lot of people that watch his videos and don't know anything about cameras and don't care about cameras. They just like him as a person. So we have to be okay with that and just, it's tough. Open up your feed on Instagram and all of a sudden you think, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do that. Walk away from that phone and just think, well, what do you want to do? What's sitting inside you that you just have to share with people? I mean, there's got to be like a moment where Craig Reynolds is practicing Straight from the Path songs by himself and just wishes, I just wish people could see me doing this. And then Twitch comes along and says, well, we could do that for you. And it works out. And it's like, okay, well, I don't really need to see you play a bossa nova. Like, I want to see you do what you do, but I want the voyeuristic nature of like, hey, let me watch what it is that you do, because I don't know what it is that everyone does. I've never seen Benny practice. I don't know what the hell it looks like. But if he had a Twitch stream that was Benny practicing, I'd be all over it.
Hell yeah.
Because I don't know how he gets to the magic. So, long story short, I think this whole thing can be wrapped up by saying,
look at this pro.
It's okay.
Look at this fucking pro. Go. Jerry's final thought.
I think it's okay to say that, like, it's okay to be you. It's okay to just be quirky, be weird. I mean, the outcasts of the world are the ones that change the world. So lean into it. Be different and be okay with it. And if your home for being different is like, hey, I'm 18 and I choose Facebook over TikTok, then own that shit. That's fine. You don't stop chasing all the algorithms. You're already behind the game. I think Craig said it best when the algorithm is quality. Make quality content, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, because even if they do make algorithms based around stuff, the idea is that other than, a couple of things where they're trying to make you buy an advert, but they're not trying to make normal people buy adverts. They're trying to keep them on the website. So to keep them on the website, they show them the best stuff. Most of the algorithms will be designed to show you the best stuff. So just make the best stuff, and it will be propagated around the website. Stop being like, oh,
Absolutely.
my friend told me about this hack where you upload a photo and then you delete it straight away and then you upload it again. It gets through the algorithm. And then the photo is them trying to sell, like, oh, I'm selling some smoothies that I make out of my kitchen, and it's got a bunch of text on it, and this person's previously known for being a butcher, and then it goes, oh, wait, I only got 12 likes. Because everyone that follows you is into butcher guys. There's a terrible example.
Smoothies.
Do you know what I mean? It's a terrible example. And then they get annoyed. Oh, the algorithm's really killing me on this one. No, your content is wrong.
No, your content. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I said, it's just called vanity metrics. But if you let those numbers change your mood of the day, it's going to be a long life trying to make content. Like, make the content you want. Sometimes it catches fire, sometimes it doesn't. But in the end, just like we talked about a long time ago in this podcast, consistency for teaching, consistency for content, it's the key. Just be consistent. Be the person. And you know what? If you think like, okay, well, I want 200,000 views, I want all this stuff. What if you just had 1,000 people that were willing to pay you, I don't know, $30 a month? That's not very many people, but it is $30,000 a month.
That's why my Patreon's £1. I want the opposite. I want the amount of people to just give me £1.
£1. Yeah.
And then
all I need is 1 million people to give me £1.
Because I know like the sporadic nature of the podcast. Sometimes I can't get a guest or whatever. Just give me £1. But if I had a really decent podcast and I was doing it like 5 days a week, then I would rather it the other way around. But I know my content is bad.
I think it just comes down to giving people value and allowing them to support you financially because they want to, instead of, I'm trying to get something over on you because I need to make a living. Instead, it's like, well, look, I do this. This is what I do for a living. Does it bring value to your life? Is your world better because of this thing I'm doing, whether it be my podcast or my website? If so, would you mind supporting it? Because it is my entire livelihood. I don't have, like you said, I'm not a manager at Starbucks on the side. This is my entire income. But I will never pull the wool over your eyes. If I ask you for $30 a month, I guarantee I'm going to deliver $100 a month of content for you. And if I charge $3 on my Patreon page for Mine and Eddie's podcast, we're going to try to change your life for those $3. So you just over deliver the best you can in a value sense, not in a number. Like, you don't have to have 100 new videos a week. It's just like, well, the ones that I put up, I'm going to put everything I have into it. And I think people can feel that now. And that's what we're all trying to get to. No matter what the platform is, are you putting everything you have into it? Then if so, I promise you, your camera doesn't matter. Your lighting doesn't matter. If you put everything you have into it, people can feel it through your GoPro lens, and they'll be, Ash Sohn uses a GoPro. Does just fine on Instagram.
Eric and Prota, GoPro for the longest time, until Drumeo actually just paid for him to have some decent cameras to do their stuff. But GoPro, and I think at one point he definitely had the most views out of any of us. Fucking
totally.
Backflipping.
Because
you see he's playing for Korn. You see he's playing for Korn right now.
No.
Eric's playing for Korn. I think like Ray had to go home, and it was just like they phoned Eric. Oh, backflip.
We'll just get Eric. Yeah, we'll get Eric. It'll be great.
So sick.
Eric's the man. Well, this was fun.
Way to tell me you don't want to be here anymore. I had one thing that I wanted to say while you were talking about vanity metrics, just to get off my chest. And you said, if you chase the vanity metrics, like, this got me the most likes, so I'll do it again. That's how mental health grifters are born. The inspirational quote, and they post one and they probably meant it. And then they go, well, that got a lot of likes. I better think of another one for tomorrow. And before you know it, they're trying to sell you a book when that person's no longer depressed and doesn't even care about being depressed anymore. They want to sell you the book. That's another.
I'm 100% with you. It's not the dog in the fight, the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. I'm like, that was from 1974. Stop it.
Calm down. You just put a new font on it. I know. I don't want to get political, but a lot of people love right now in regards to whatever's going on in the world. They love a wolf and a sheep collaboration post, don't they? Some of us are the wolves and others the sheep. And then they post it with a picture of a wolf. Gets 1 million likes, and they go, "New wolf pack T-shirts." What? I didn't sell any. Why not?
What happened? I thought everyone was in my wolf pack. That's always a tough one. And you know what? Good for them. Start your own business, be an entrepreneur, but you gotta. The originality is why it didn't work. You can't just steal somebody's idea and put it out as your own. Like, you'll always be found out, whether people know where you got it from or they just know, like, well, it's shockingly well rhymed. I don't think you came up with that. That one might be in the quote book somewhere. It's like, yeah, I know the same little calendar with inspirational quotes that you have on your desk that every day you peel one off, and it's just like, a cat hanging onto a tree branch and it says, just hang in there. It's like, I know you have the same things, man. But walk around and just see what inspires you and just come up with something original. If you're original, you're going to be fine. And also you have to admit to yourself that even when you're original, somebody already did it before you, but it still feels better to know, like, well, I didn't see them do it before me. I did come up with this idea on my own. I'm just admitting that someone's probably done this before me.
You have like a great minds think alike rather than okay mind steals other thing.
Yeah.
I have one last thing to say and then I will let you go.
I
want to know, it's not even a plug, it's not even a segue into a plug, but I want to know just real quick about the drumstick. The
NE1.
The best. How long did it take you to come up with it? Explain the stick, explain the concept behind it, and then tell me how long it took you to come up with that name, because you're a genius. I want to give you $30 a month for some online coaching.
You got it, buddy. So the stick came when I moved from Vader to Vic Firth. The first thing they said was like, well, you had a signature stick at Vader. Do you want to do one here? And I said, no. One, the dowels are different, so I can't just do like for like. I don't know even what I'm going to play in your lineup yet. And I think it says more about your company if I play a stock model than if I just move to your company and play a signature model. It looks like you paid me to come here. So I'll just play whatever works. Just send me these, 4 or 5 different sticks. I'll try them out. I'll choose one. That'll be my stick. So that happened. And then about a year and a half later, the stick that I had chosen just wasn't the right one. So then I went back to him and I said, hey, can we work on something together? But I don't want a signature model. Like, I've seen my name's on a damn cowbell. That's enough. I'm done. No more names on things. Can I just make something together? So we decided on a signature, non-signature model. And then we started working, and shockingly enough, it was really similar to my previous signature stick. And a lot of people are like, hey, this is a lot like your old stick. And I'm like, well, my hands haven't grown since then. So of course it is. I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Of course it's similar. So the one thing that changed, I mean, it's in between a 5A and a 5B. It's got a barrel tip. But the biggest thing was the taper, because as I was playing these different sticks from Vic Firth, I played a bunch of their jazz sticks that have this really long taper, and the stick just flies off of all the surfaces. And so anyways, that became the thing where I was like, I just want to incorporate a little bit more of that long taper so that my students have a stick that is really fast. And as I was talking to the head of product there at Vic Firth, we were just talking, and I just said, we just need like a no excuses stick. Like, whatever your double strokes are with this stick, that is what they are. There's no excuses here. So it was just going to be called the no excuses stick. And then as we workshopped ideas, at some point, I'm not sure it was me. I think it might have actually been the head of product. He was like, here's a bunch of different ways that we can do the font. And one of them was NE-1. And I was like, well, one, that just looks like an awesome model number. It still has the meaning of no excuses to me. But if you say it, it's for anyone. And I was like, dude, home run. That's the name of the stick. So that was kind of it. I mean, mainly, and it wasn't meant to be the stick for anyone as much as it's meant to be the stick for anyone to start their journey of looking into what is going to be your stick. If you grab this stick and play it for a little while and you go like, it's just too short. It's like, okay, well then find a longer stick. It's just too thick. Go down to a 5A in any brand. But I just thought about how people choose their sticks, and usually they don't choose their sticks. Some teacher puts the sticks in their hands 100%. And says, you're a 5A guy.
Yeah. I honestly, literally what you said about the taper, just the stick that I use with Vic Firth, the Rock, it's the one thing. Yep. I just wish it was less baseball bat. Just give me a taper on it. But no one wants that because they want the heavy stick that doesn't break under the cymbals.
And that's the thing is like, there's always a trade-off somewhere in there. But I was making that transition from heavy hitter to a more textured drummer, and I wanted that rebound and that fly back off of the cymbals and everything. So it's been really cool. I mean, it sold out of everywhere, within the first day, and then everyone made their second orders. The key with any signature product, whether it's signature or not signature, but the key with a product that's tied to an artist is the reorders, because all of your fans will support you and buy a pair. It's, do they buy 10 pairs after this pair because they decide it's the stick for them? So we're still in that phase of like, it's massively successful on launch, and now on a business level, what really matters is 2 months from now, people actually have made it their stick of choice, and then it starts to sell. Because it's really hard to get a signature product to be carried in stores, because, like I said, once you have your pair of your favorite drummer sticks, you just hang them on your wall. You don't even use them. So it's going really well, and thanks for bringing it up, man. I appreciate that.
It's a similar thing, and it needs to be a whole in the product lineup as well with signature stick. I've been offered a signature product from a company, and they were like, well, we can do it like this. And I was like, you already have 1 million of those that I love. Can we do it like this? They said, we can't currently do it like that. And I was like, that's the reason I want it, because I would like it, and we will do it in the future when we can do it. But right now, I want to keep up. Anyone knows if I put something on my Instagram, even if it's coffee or whatever, beer, whatever, people know I put that up because I actually like it. I haven't been paid to do it. The same thing when I want a signature product, it needs to be something that I use because I need to use it, not there's a reason why there aren't Mike Johnston's signature hi-hats with Meinl, even though the ride is sold so well. It's like, well, because I don't need it. You make my favorite hi-hats. Exactly.
I don't wish they were any better. I love my hi-hats.
Exactly. And you could make money, but it would be insincere. Totally. And that's why you're this is me tying it around, one of the best people to talk to. I'm truly jealous Eddie gets to do an episode with you. What, do you do an episode every week? Month?
Once a week, yeah.
Once a week? I'm jealous. That's like therapy.
Well, I hope you know that, like, it's basically you, Eddie, and Spaven. You're my British crew of brothers that I would die for. So.
It's a good crew.
Good crew.
I'd love this crew to meet up.
That crew needs to do a drum camp. Me, you, Eddie, and Spaven.
Do you know what's insane?
And I'm just the American idiot.
Do you know what's insane? You know what's insane about that?
Huh.
You could have that conversation where no one here does you like you. All 4 of those is a completely wild lineup.
Totally. I just wish I had a place that hosted drum camps all summer long. Oh, we'll do it here.
Hey, Mike, I just wish I had a national interest exemption visa, which means that I can go to your country whenever I want. Oh, wait, I do.
You on Wednesday.
Right, okay.
So, the Downbeat, Mike'sLessons.com drum camp with Eddie Thrower and Richard Spaven starts on Wednesday. We will see you.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Anyway, you're the best. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the stream because I think I'm still on the front page for like another 20 minutes. So I'm going to hang up our call. I'm going to stop all that, and then I'm just going to talk to these people. Debrief. I want you to know, Mike, and the people at home don't need to know who's listening to this afterwards. The chat loves you. The chat
That's nice. I don't get to see it for any of you that are in the chat or watching.
If you really care, when this goes up somewhere, the chat has been scrolling on the screen. So people are saying this was amazing. This is my favorite episode of the podcast. Cool. Mike's voice is amazing. There's a lot of that. I'll cherry pick them and send you the good ones. I won't send you the ones where people are... No one's saying anything bad. Okay, I'm going to hang this up. The glory of the way that I've done this is you now don't have to do anything. Usually it's like, send me your file, bounce it at this, blah, blah, blah. But hopefully this has worked.
Just go make another matcha. I'm just about out. I don't got much there.
I need to get into that because I was thinking that when you were talking about you don't need anything else with your signature on it. I was like, this guy is... all that green tea is making this guy like a drumming Buddhist. I don't need my name on it.
I don't need anything drumming-wise with my signature on it, but Mike's matcha is coming.
Oh, I do not doubt it. Right, I'm hanging up. I love you. You're the best. Have a lovely time away.
Thanks, my friend.
Whatevering. What do they call it? burnout. Enjoy it. This has been great. If anyone else is watching who's a drummer and has a setup that looks as good as Mike and is as good as Mike, then you can be on this. Thanks. That's the first video Downbeat. I'm stoked.
Crushed it, buddy. That was fun.
Goodbye, my friend.
Later, brother.